I sit here trying to work, but something in the corner of my eye won't let me focus. That Flipbook over there. Remake me. What? I already remade you once. Remake me again. Why would I do that? Make me real. You know, actually, that's a really good idea. This is my hot dog flipbook that I made as a kid, and not too long ago I remade it 30 years later using my grown-up professional animator skills, which was really fun. And now I feel eerily compelled to remake this animation again, but to make it the weirdest way possible, as if it were real life using stop motion. But here's the catch. I want to stay true to the original kid-style flipbook animation. So that means I'll be taking 100 photos of myself and real props while trying to match as exactly as I can the kid drawings on every page. And that sounds like a simple, easy idea, but it's not, and it's going to be more difficult than I expected, but also a ton of fun and weirdly satisfying. Just like my brand new Andymation hot dog hot sauce. It's so good, you're gonna wanna buy like 4 bottles. I'll tell you more about it at the end of the video. Since I'm going to make this animation with me as the character, and since the character in this flipbook is bald, that means I'm going to need to be bald. But before I make myself bald, let me just say, a couple members of my family have some doubts about this video idea. And my son keeps saying, "Dad, are you sure you want to look bald in this video?" But I'm going to make this animation anyway, and it's either going to be awesome, or I'll look like an idiot. It'll be the cringiest thing I've ever done. By the way, if you like making flipbooks, my flipbook kits are the best way to do it. Get yours at Andymation.com. As I said, I want this in real life version of the animation to be super true to the original flipbook artwork, so the first thing I need to do is customize a bottle for the hot sauce. I'm using Goo Gone to remove the stubborn, sticky label residue, and I rinse it out, and we have a nice, clean glass bottle to customize. Lucky for me, the design of the hot sauce bottle in my original kid drawings was pretty straightforward. I can't help but thinking if Ron Swanson designed a hot sauce bottle, it might actually look something like this.
Are these peppers for consuming?
I wouldn't. They're very hot.
I'm gonna give it a try. Hot.
Since we're going for realism, it's time to cook a hot dog, and I'm kind of hungry, so. While those are cooking, did you know there's a name for this specific stop motion technique that I'm using for this animation? It's called Pixilation, and despite what it sounds like, Pixilation actually has nothing to do with pixels or pixel art, and it's a technique where instead of animating puppets or miniature objects, like a normal person, the animator uses life-size objects and real people, and it's one of my favorite types of animation. Why is it called Pixilation? Well, there's a theory out there that the word relates to being under the influence of pixies, which makes total sense to me. I personally like to think of it as pix, like a series of pictures, pixelation, but no, it's probably the pixies. And now, before I make myself bald, gulp, let's animate the first part where the hot sauce gets poured onto the hot dog. Since I have to hold the bottle upside down for each picture, and it's full of liquid, I put a cork that I colored red into the end of the bottle, which then disappears as it gets camouflaged with the red liquid. And I've added a screw to the cork so then I can pull it out between frames with pliers, since I gradually have to empty the bottle throughout the animation. For the sauce on top of the hot dog, I was planning on sculpting clay, and I mixed my custom color to match it just perfectly, and then I realized that the idea of manhandling this hard clay on top of a soft, squishy hot dog bun would be a disaster. So, for the sauce on top of the hot dog, I'm actually using ketchup, which has a thick consistency that I need, and it's kind of sculptable. And I can safely say this is the first time I have ever animated ketchup. Inside the bottle, I'm using some strawberry banana vegetable juice because it has a nice red color, it's more liquidy than ketchup or actual hot sauce, which makes it cleaner and easier for me to drain between frames, and because it's much nicer to drink than ketchup. In the original flipbook animation, there are these squiggly steam lines above the hot dog, and I said I wanted all of this new animation to be made from physical objects in stop motion, so rather than drawing squiggles, I'm animating aluminum wire. Then in Photoshop, I can erase the background of the wire animation and composite it into the shot. Then I give it a little blur, make it somewhat transparent, and that looks like a pretty good recreation of those steam lines. And now, before finally making myself bald, let's animate the part where fire comes out of the character's mouth. You'll notice in the flipbook that the character is bald until he belches fire, and then he's got hair sticking straight up. Then he goes back to being bald again. So I'm going to animate the fire part first, and then animate the bald parts. Well, the time has come. It's time to make myself bald. Is this a bad idea? Oh, good idea. Can I just say, as your future self, the fact that I have to time travel back to moments like this to stop you from doing things like that, it's a wonder I ever became the genius that I am. Wait, I become a genius? Oh, hey, I've been meaning to ask you. It's been a while since you stopped by, and people have been leaving comments wondering if things are okay in the future, or like they thought you were in danger for some reason. Really? Huh. Well, currently for me, it's the year 2056, and things are pretty good. Why do people say I'm in danger? I don't know. I just read the comments. Huh. Well, anyway, have fun with that bald cap. Makeup's a little bit yellow, which kind of makes me feel like a Simpsons character.
My head hairs! I'm bald!
I'll have to clean up some of the seams and wrinkles in Photoshop, but that'll be totally fine. After a little while, it started getting a bit wrinkly, so I had to put a clip in the back to pull it tighter. So I have a monitor in front of me where I can see the original Flipbook page and my current pose, and then once I'm happy with how well it matches, I trigger the camera with a remote in my lap, and let me just say, there's nothing quite like having a big glob of clay and bread in your mouth. In the Flipbook, when the character chews, his teeth kind of stick out, so paper cutout buck teeth for me, and I'm trying to match the expression on every page as best I can. All right, time to get this thing off my head. Ooh, I think I found my new profile picture. All right, and at the end of the Flipbook, smoke comes out of the character's mouth, so I'm going to animate the smoke separately. I'm using polyfill, which is like stuff you would use to fill pillows or stuffed animals, and that's going to make a really nice stop-motion smoke. And I'm really excited about the technique I'm using to composite the smoke into the shot. I'm using a method called front light backlight, which means I don't need a green screen, which would be very difficult on a material like this. So instead of needing a green screen, I use a white background. I take one exposure lit like normal and a second exposure lit from behind, which creates a silhouette of the object in front. You then use that second exposure in software like After Effects as a Luma track matte, which lets you perfectly composite your animation into the shot. And for an animated element like this, where you're dealing with translucent material, it's a billion times better than a green screen. And that, I think, looks like pretty awesome smoke. And now that the smoke's done, all I have left are the titles, and for that, I'm using paper cutout animation. When I started this project, I thought it was going to be relatively easy, but it was genuinely challenging and a ton of fun figuring out how to do everything. And now here it is, my stop motion style, ultra realistic recreation of my childhood hot dog flipbook. I hope you're happy. Yes, so happy. If you want to experience some spicy hot dog deliciousness yourself, but without shooting flames out of your face, then you have to try my brand new Andymation Hot Dog Hot Sauce. The flavor is perfection. It's designed specifically for hot dogs, and it has a heat level of 4.5 out of 10. It's so good that you should just buy more than one bottle to start with, because you're gonna love it. And if you only buy one bottle and then you run out, and then you go to your special hot sauce cupboard, but it's as bare as Mother Hubbard's, and you're like, where is Animation's hot dog sauce? And you have a sad, empty hot dog over there, and you can't eat it like that because it's just not the same anymore without Animation's hot dog sauce, so you feed it to the birds. You probably shouldn't do that, but the point is, just save yourself the headache. Buy more than one bottle because you'll be glad you did. It's that good. You can get it on my website, andymation.com. And hey, while you're there, get yourself a Flipbook or a Flipbook kit and start making your own animations like I do.